Hello and welcome to another Magic the Gathering video. So this one is a bit of an experiment and we'll see how it goes. Feel free to comment as to whether it's something you want me to do going forward. So I have done sort of set reviews or more set overviews in the past, and I know they've been reasonably popular. What I wanted to do going forward, and this ties in nicely with what I'm doing in terms of the deck durdle and commander fodder episodes, where I'm thematically lining them up in terms of sets. So I think I mentioned in a previous video, from July onwards, I'm going to start off with Urza's Saga, because I'd already done deck durdle episodes about Tempest and Mirage block. So I thought going forward, next one is going to be Urza's block, so Urza's Saga. And what I thought it'd be interesting to do is include in the mix, because I was doing sealed deck build around a particular set or block, will be to do a video about the set, but I wanted to add my own twist to it. So really this is a question of going through the cards and just picking out certain themes that just jump out at me, and sort of cards that bring me joy or make me smile for whatever reason. Maybe the artwork, maybe the aesthetics, maybe something about the mechanics of the card. I am going to tie that back to set themes and cycles in the set, so you can use it as a bit of an analysis, but because there's a bit more of a relaxed feel to this video, it is really more of what I suppose I would call a set musing. So that sort of experience you get when you've got like a binder with a set and you're just going flicking through and just enjoying the cards for what they are. I've just got a big smile on my face at the moment actually just thinking about this, and that's what this video is going to be about. So let me know what you think about it. Like I said, I want to do something like this going forward, just to anchor me, help me a bit more when I'm doing the sealed pool builds. So I've got that top-down helicopter view. So here we're just going to, for this episode, just while I'm in that mid-period until I actually get into July, that first full week in July, and start doing Urza's block. I just wanted to pick a set that I'd done before in terms of the deck durdle, and I thought Tempest was as good a one as any. So we're going to start off with that. I'm using Scryfall because it's such a cool website. I know a ton of people use this already, but you can do set reviews on this. I've got it sorted by colour at the moment. At the end we'll do a little bit of price thing, because I know that interests some people, is see what the relative price is, which you can do from here, from the drop down. So we'll look at the price in USD, see what the most expensive cards are, maybe like the top 10, and we'll do also the EDH rank as well. We'll have a little bit and look about in this set what cards are popular in EDH. So I'm going to go through in colour order here and just pick out a few things that I noticed here. So just to give you some idea, again, the set as an overall, so themes and mechanics, and off camera I have MTG wiki open, just full reveal, because there's no way I'm going to remember all of this, and it's nice to just have that rather than just repackage that information or write it down again. I've just literally got the web page open. So themes and mechanics: flowstones, lycids, slivers, spikes. And keywords and abilities to watch out for is buybacks and shadow. Also going to see a number of cards here which have been reprinted, so I'll try and pick out those. The nice thing about using this particular website, as you probably know, is if I click on these, I'm going to jump into the full image. You can also, if you were doing this yourself, just go straight into that mode, which looks something like this. But it's not really helpful what I'm doing here. So what I'll do is I'll stick in this mode, and then when I need to jump in, I'll click on the link and we'll go in that way. So just scrolling down. So the first card, I always makes me smile when I look at this set, if I'm going through in colour order, is this one, this very persistent angel, avenging angel, 3 and 2 white with flying. So if it is put into any graveyard from play, you put it back on the top of the owner's library. And that only ever appeared in Tempest, and Tempest Remastered from an online perspective. It's about $13. But yeah, a lot of nice things with this. It's a 3/3 for 5, but you know, you've got this effect, and the artwork's pretty cool as well. Then there were these cycles of circle of protections was still a thing at this point in Magic. They existed for quite a few sets. They were reprinted quite a few times. You can see these have got a real consistent art to them. Let's just pick one. So you'll notice they were all in white. So they're all 1 and a white, but they hose various colours. So you can see we've got there's the black one, the blue, the green, the red. There was one that hosed shadow creatures, and there's the one for white. So let's just look at a couple here, because I'm curious. I suspect that with these ones, the on-colour ones, they've been reprinted quite a few times in various core sets. And the nice thing is here, as I roll over, hopefully this is nice and clear on the screen, you can see quite a big change in the artwork between core sets. They're also turned up in a lot of these special, like 2-player sets and the World Championship decks for certain years. Let me just look at another one, see if they be reprinting fairly consistently. And there you go, there's Ice Age. Quite different artwork there. Just get a feel here. You can see quite big changes in the artwork over time. That's pretty cool. So what's that, 6th edition artwork? Quite like that. And there's the Ice Age one. So those were obviously reprinted as a cycle within white in Ice Age. I'm curious about the shadow. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, so obviously only ever appeared in Tempest. We'll have a look and see, because obviously shadow's a thing in this set. We'll see where some of the shadow creatures were reprinted, just as a point of reference. Disenchant's been reprinted quite a number of times. Obviously appeared a lot in the World Championship decks. We have destroying targets and enchantments. You can see there's a full art one there, which was drawn from the Magic 25 set. That was reprinted in M20. We're going to find that probably that's been reprinted quite a few times across various core sets. There's one from Ice Age, 7th edition, Macadian Masks, 6th, Zurzas. Oh yeah, you can see lots of times. Real popular card to reprint. Now I'm trying to remember, I believe in this set, I'm not sure if there was a cycle of wards or not. I have to see if any pop out as we go through. I was drawn to this card in the set. I'm not quite sure why. Let me just curious about. See, again, this only turned up in the mystery booster. Same artwork. I suppose I'm always interested in knights that have some form of protection on them. I like the artwork on this as well. Very abstract. There's Master Decoy. That crops up in a few of the later core sets. You can see the artwork's a little bit different. And while I'm getting down here, you can see down here our old friend Pacifism. This is always interesting. Lots of different artwork for this. Let's look at all the different artwork. You can see that there's the one that when I first saw Pacifism, because I sort of, I suppose, joined on the Magic train around 10th edition, not M10 but 10th edition, which was the core set before that. So I'm used to the Grok artwork, or the Grak artwork, I mean. I like this particularly, which I believe originally comes from Onslaught, if I'm correct. And then when we get to Urza's block, we'll see this one. This is the artwork from there. But pretty varied. And as you can see with those sets reprinted a lot of times. Well, there's a legend there. Orim Samite Healer. Counts as a cleric. Tap. Prevent up to 3 damage to any creature or player. Again, not really reprinted. And this, I mean, this is a reprint but only online. So I suppose it doesn't really count in paper. If you want to play a Pegasus deck, there's one auto include. So here's where I wanted to get down to, and I will scroll back if I've missed something, is the shadow creatures. So you can see we've got a number of these in white. All these Soltari creatures. So let me just pick one. I'm just curious as to what sets, if any, these have been reprinted in. Did end up in Vintage Masters. Yeah, it looks like that's the most obvious set to have them reprinted in. I don't think there was any other set that was where shadow was really a thing. Now the other thing here, of course, in this set is slivers. Slivers have turned up in other Magic sets, or in other Magic sets that I can think of, at least one. although this one wasn't reprinted outside of Tempest. Oh, we got Winds of Wrath, interesting card. That has been reprinted in the Commander product. Doesn't look like the artwork's ever been changed. And was reprinted for Commander Legends. It's not a super expensive card. Certainly not in Commander Legends. The original is around $2. So I think that's all I really wanted to talk about. And I'm just looking. There is part of a cycle in here. Let me try and find it for you. Yeah, I'd already highlighted this. So there's a cycle of hoses. Light of Day, and there's two in each colour actually, and the other one I believe is Warmth. Yeah. There are a cycle of slivers at common, so the one in here was the Talon sliver. And Armour sliver, which must be up here. I must have missed over that. Yeah, there it is. This was at uncommon. It's difficult to spot on this set because at this point they weren't using colour coding on the set symbol. So they all had the same. They're all sort of black. They weren't, silver or gold or, when you get up to, was it after? I'm just trying to think when Mythics first became a thing. Was it around the time of Shards of Alara, I think? There's a few more cycles as well once we get on to multicolored spells. And some interesting cycles of land in the set as well. We have an Oratog in here. Was that part of a... Oh, that was part of a mega cycle. Or a mega cycle, sorry. So there was a mega cycle of Atogs across, I think starting in, what was it, Antiquities with that Atog, and then it just went through across quite a few different sets: Visions, Weatherlight, Tempest. So now onto blue. We've got Capsize in blue. I wonder how many times that has been reprinted now. It was one of the Amonkhet invocations. Wow. So I mentioned earlier that buyback was a thing in the set, was a keyword ability. So with buyback, there's a cost to it. You may pay an additional 3, in this case 3 colourless on this card, when you play this spell. If you do, put it into your hand instead of your graveyard as part of the spell's effect, and this returned a target permanent to owner's hand. So here, for a cost of, what have we got here? So that would end up as what, 4 and 2 blue. You get to buy back the spell. So Chill is one of our 2 hoses. There's 2 in blue. There's 2 in all of the colours. Chill is one. I don't think they've ever been... Oh, they were reprinted in 6th edition. I'm assuming they must have done the whole cycle. Our old friend Counterspell. Let's have a look at this. It's a good example. We're going to see lots of different artwork. I think this always goes from what, newest to oldest, doesn't it? Oh, sorted by release date. Yeah, let's look back in time. Yeah, I really like this artwork. It was just so different from anything else. And then you've got the original here. So yeah, this is the artwork for this set. But I think this is my favourite. Banned in historic. Look at that. Was that ever reprinted? Nope. There's some really cool artwork here. It's completely different. Oh, that was reprinted in corsets. Legacy Solia. That's funny. Okay. What's that all about? Search your library for any number of land cards and remove them from the game. Shuffle your library afterwards. Wow. Oh, precognition is in here. And propaganda. Oh, there's one of our slivers. So, mnemonic sliver, however you might say that, would have been the uncommon one in blue. We keep our eyes open for winged sliver, which is the common one. You can see that we've got merfolk in blue. So there's tribal stuff going on in this set, clearly. You know, we've got shadow creatures. What are they? Let me just check and see what they're in as. Yeah. Oh no, they're not. Are they in as soldiers and knights? Okay. Now somewhere is that other hoser which is insight. Interdict. There we go. Insight. Hoses green spells. Well, that one was reprinted for 6th edition. Wow. I should have done this sooner. I'm really enjoying this. Hopefully you are. This is really fascinating. Especially when they're all like this, like laid out, like, you know, you'd have it in a super organised binder where you're going by, well, in this case, what colour, then alphabetically, although of course you could go through, subdivide it by, not sure if you can do that here, like by casting cost. I think obviously alphabetically is better if you're trying to find a card. Spell Blaster's in here. And how many times has that been reprinted? There's quite a few there. Oh yeah, quite a big, yeah, pretty dramatic artwork wise. It's not, yeah, this is all back from the early days. Wow. never noticed the original artwork actually. I'd mainly seen it from this. And it was reprinted in M14. That's quite a big time frame. Oh, here's our shadow creature in blue. There's a number here actually, look. And there's our Lycids. So this is the blue one. I mentioned there was a cycle of these. So the white one was Quickening Lycid. They're all 1/1 and a common. And then they had this ability where you can do this sort of aura shenanigans. So this one of the blue tap, Stinging Lycid loses this ability and becomes a creature enchantment that reads, whenever enchanted creature becomes tapped, Stinging Lycid deals 2 damage to that creature's controller instead of a creature. Move Stinging Lycid onto target creature, you may pay blue to end this effect. And they were all 1 and a colour to cast, I believe. It's Time Warp. Quite a few there. But again, quite a few in special sets. You notice that. That's where I recognise it from, is M10. That's what's going to make me look at a lot of these, is I'll just go, hang on, I recognise that card from somewhere. Not that it's particularly famous, but I just, from stuff I've opened. Oh, there's our sliver, there's our common sliver, wing sliver. Just looking to see if I missed any I wanted to speak about. It's Power Sync, is that? Yeah, I think that's come up. That's been reprinted quite a few times. Oh yeah, I recognise this artwork. Oh, that's one I'm not so familiar with, even though I've opened 6th edition. And Twitch. Yeah, that's where I recognise that one from as well, White Content Edition. Okay, moving on to black. Oh, hang on. Windrake. I had a feeling that, yeah, that's been reprinted quite a few times. And it was in Portal as well. It just flying right in the middle, really clear. Same artwork in 6th edition as well, and the starter deck and Battle Royale. Okay, so very much that artwork, very much of its time. Oh, there's one of our slivers, is Clock Sliver. So that was one of the common ones, so this is, we're into black now. Yeah. Commander Griven Orvek. It's a legend. How many times has that been? Nope. Only available in Tempest. I'll try and flag up the legends as I notice them. I didn't seem to see one in blue. I don't even know if there is. Let me just quickly go back. I was going to try avoid doing this backwards and forwards, but it is quite difficult when you're sort of going through a set you haven't really seen in totality for a while. Yeah, I don't see anything. Yeah, it's harder in the... I always find this stuff... We had this discussion before on a different video, actually, through the comment section, where, you know, in some sets, just the physical scans don't always represent well. And just certain colours, it looks clearer with the text. It's Coffin Queen. Two and a black. You may choose not to untap Coffin Queen during your untap step. Two and a black, tap, put a target creature card from any graveyard into play under your control. Remove that creature from the game if Coffin Queen becomes untapped or if you lose control of Coffin Queen. It's an interesting card. Now I'm curious. Is that in many decks? 395 out of 296,000. Ah, Dark Ritual, of course. Yeah, this has been reprinted quite a few times. So probably the first, I'm just trying to think, like the first artwork I saw for Dark Ritual. What did I open first? Because I remember it being in... Was this from one of the dual decks? I think it was. So I probably saw this artwork first, maybe. And then probably quickly followed by the Ice Age one. Or maybe this. I like this one. Oh, got a card there that cares about shadow, and there's our shadow creatures here again, so pretty well represented in the set, particularly in black. So Dread of Night, where's it gone, is one of our, yeah, so all white creatures get -1/-1, so it's one of the two cards in black that were in that Hoser cycle. There's a Lycid somewhere in here as well, and of course we got Diabolic Edict. Target player sacrifices a creature. Seems to have turned up more in the special sets. Like Magic 25. Deathbits of Wrath. Oh, Gravedigger's in here. That's been reprinted quite a lot. There's another one of those Lycids. Because there was a cycle, so this is a black one. You can see basically very similar to the other ones. So look at Gravedigger. I know this has been reprinted quite a few times. Not sure how much. Oh, the artwork did change for M20. But you can see it's been in quite a few sets now. Oh, it was in Portal. Okay. It's pretty interesting artwork for Odyssey. Oh look, here we go. Cat. So you can see a few core sets there, and obviously Commander product. That's probably the first artwork I saw, was when I opened packs of M10. Oh no, sorry, there we go, 10th edition actually. So that'd be certainly the one I'm most familiar with. Looks definitely cool in the old frame. There's Pit Imp. And it's our slivers. Reanimate's in here as well. There was quite a bit of graveyard shenanigans going on here. There's another one of our hoses, Perish. Just curious how many times Pit. No, so it's only ever been in Tempest. And again with these slivers, just Tempest only. Has that been reprinted a few times? Living Death, yeah. I thought it might have been. But again, quite prevalent in special sets and Phyrexia versus a Coalition, which would have been a dual deck. It was in the Annihilation from the Vault series. There's Reanimate. Let's have a look. Oh, that's cool artwork in the later set. Yeah, it was an Arch Enemy. Yeah, still pretty expensive. So moving on to red, more slivers. Ooh, let me guess what that was in. Only Tempest, wow. 2 and 3 red, sorcery speed, exile all permanents and discard your hand. Okay. Interesting artwork. So I'm keeping an eye open for those hoses. There's Boil, Destroy All Islands. It's turned up a few times. And as an invocation. Chaotic Goo. Oh, another listed, there's a red one. Crown of Flames. Now, where have I seen that before? Yeah, maybe for whatever reason, I'm more familiar with the Invasion one. I'm not too sure why, actually. It's just that's the artwork I recognise more. And Flowstone Giant. Oh, where have I seen that? No, it was only in Tempest. Oh, Furnace of Wrath. Furnace of Wrath. I had a feeling that had cropped up a few times in core sets. It's also in Plane Chase, and Jewels of the Planeswalker. I think that's where I'd seen it, actually. There's 10th edition as well, which I would have seen it. I suspect I would have opened that at some point. I opened enough 10th edition product for that to probably happen, probability-wise. So another sliver. Kindle is in here. Oh, Lightning Blast. So instant speed, 4 damage for 3 in a red. Target creature or player. It's been reprinted in a few core sets. There's a slightly different artwork there for the 7th edition. One. Now, Lightning Elemental. Yeah, that I recognise. I like this artwork. Oh, yeah, of course, goblins were a big thing in this set, that was right. So a lot of the classic goblin. Mog Fanatic was in here. That's been... When was that? Oh, yeah, again, 10th. I'm thinking, where do I recognise this in 10th edition? Oh, there's a different online promo there. I don't remember seeing that. There was Havoc. So that was another one of the that was the second of the two hoses in red. And I think I pointed out the Lycid, which is the and we have our slivers, our common, and we saw the barb sliver, and there's a, where is it? There's a heart sliver there. Again, apart from a special printing for that was that, I don't know if you remember those all foil decks. There was about 4 of them, I think. There was a slivers one, there was a graveyard one, there was a red burn one, maybe there was only 3, but there was a slivers one. And the funny thing about that is initially you could pick those up pretty cheap, and then once, I suppose it seemed to happen when EDH really caught on and people were building sliver decks, there were certain cards in here which were really useful, and the fact they were in this all foil, and the foiling was slightly different as well in that set. Were they premium deck something? Yeah, I just can't remember. I know I've opened a few of them. I think I've opened all of the ones that were released, because when they came out, for whatever reason, they weren't being bought that much. The only one I had ever problems getting hold of initially was the graveyard theme one for some reason. The other ones I remember picking up quite, a few months after the fact, fairly reasonable. I think the red burn one I picked up when it came out. The slivers one I do remember picking up way after it came out, and not paying that much for it at the time. And the graveyard one was the one I had real problems with. I tried to get it the day it came out, and I had to wait for like a second delivery or something, because people were just buying like 4 copies of it for their for their graveyard decks for eternal formats. So it's Wrathy Dragon. Oh, Scorched Earth. Land Destruction, a thing. Only printed in Tempest once. Shatter. Now that's been, reprinted a few times. It was reprinted in Ice Age. That's funny artwork. I was just trying to see if it... I've always thought... I was trying to think, it was definitely would have been in an Artifact Matters decks set. So, yeah, original mirrored in and Scars mirrored in, obviously. It's interesting. 7th edition. Oh, what's this? That's pretty nice original artwork, actually. I don't think I'd ever seen that for some reason. Huh. Oh, Stone Rain. Yep. And Stark of Wrath. I wonder if that's ever been... Yeah, a lot of these legends from a Tempest appear to have never been reprinted. Stone Rain, I know, has been reprinted quite a few times. It's a pretty cool artwork for Mirage. It was in 3 Kingdoms. Wow. And second A, that's nice artwork there. I'm surprised that's not been... Has that ever cropped up on anything else? Okay, now we're on to green. Oh, Spider. So what am I looking out for? Choke was the hoser. Islands still not untap during their controller's untap phase. Okay, Aladrami again, probably only ever appeared in Tempest. So there we go. What else have we got? Earthcraft. Apologise for any background noise at the moment. Obviously someone's just come to the door. And there's a sliver. Muscle Sliver would have been in... Let me just think about this. It would have been in Get Common. And then there's also Horn Sliver, which I must have just missed there, which is the uncommon one. Okay, so what else have we got here in green that might be of interest? Okay, we have another Lycid. There we go. On Overrun. So Overrun's been reprinted several times. So there's the sort of artwork I always remember. And probably the first time I saw it would have been in M10. So Super Sort. Okay. Now I've seen this, I don't know which one I prefer actually. That's pretty funny. Cool. Okay, here we go. So, Pincer Beetle, Rampant Growth, of course, reprinted numerous times. 7th edition artwork always makes me laugh. The Mirage one. Very strange. Okay, so we've got Rottweiler in here. There's another one. Oh, spikes were a thing in here, I think, from what I remember. I'm not too sure how many of those there were, actually. And Tranquility. That's been reprinted quite a number of times as the invasion one. Okay. Oh, of course, Verdant Force as well. It's turned up a few times, turned up in the Commander products, various core sets, Plane Chase as well. It looks like the artwork's never changed. So some things never change. I completely forgot about these actually. Oh, Route Maze. Cycle. I think I was going to find. So there's the other. There's the second hoser in green. Okay, that's good. Trumpeting Armadon. So now we move on to our multicolour cards, of which we can already see a legend in here. So there was some cycles in here. There were some gold allied colour spells, and it might be a bit easier to spot these. So there's one of them, Sky Spirit. So one white blue 2/2 with flying and first strike. We have Lobotomy as well was in here. Let me try and find that. There we go. That's sorcery. So different types of spells, obviously. Some were creatures, some were not creature spells. 2 blue black. They were uncommon, and they both had both colours. So supposedly that was the cycle of spells, and really the cycle was the fact that they were allied colours. Spontaneous combustion down here. Segmented worm, that one there, and who was it? Envac. Where is it? Yeah, Ranger Envac there as well. And then there were a series of gold enemy coloured spells. So they were rare. And I believe there are a couple of legends in that cycle. So the first one we saw already, which would have been Selenia Dark Angel. I don't think any of these again. There's not many of these legends that have been reprinted. I thought Vati Dal had been, but I could be wrong. Oh, it was, yeah, it was part of the Time Spiral Time Shifted. So that was one that was in that special slot, in the Time Shifted slot, where they did some reprints. Dracoplasm. Interesting. There's a gold shadow creature. I don't know how many 2-colour shadow creatures there were apart from that one. It doesn't look like there are any other ones. Again, that was part of that rare cycle for enemy coloured spells. And the final one was Wood Sage as part of that cycle. I think a lot of these haven't really been reprinted that many. Lobotomy, that's been reprinted quite a few times. It was in Invasion. Okay, so now we move on to the artifacts. Oh, bottle gnomes. I think that's been reprinted a few times. So there's some interesting... spoiler alert. Just saw it there. There is an interesting cycle in here. Very interesting cycle. So bottle gnomes, back to bottle gnomes. Yeah, that was reprinted for Mirrodin. It's been in a few core sets. You can see there's a bit of a different... I mean, it's very similar artwork in terms of the character, if you like, the bottle gnomes. Cold storage. So these, the medallions. So one for each colour. So yeah, let's have a look at the green one, because then we'll get an idea of... These haven't been reprinted a ton. You can see they are on the expensive side. They were in the anthology and in one of the Commander decks. I think, I'm not sure whether they were all just in 2014. I'm pretty sure that's true. I think, wasn't it 2014 where they were all monocolored decks? Again, I could be wrong. Oh, there's a sliver. There's a sliver at Artifact Sliver. There's Pearl Medallion. Yeah, 2014. Pretty safe bet. You can see there they weren't all included in the... so that first one, go back up again, was in the anthology, but the others weren't. Just check Medallion, yeah. All Lotus Petal and Grindstone. The tome. Have I seen that? Yeah, I had a feeling that was reprinted in one of these later sets. Huh. Lotus Petal. And it's reprinted for the Mystery Booster. It was in Kaladesh Inventions, and it was in the From the Vault Exiled. Has Mannequin been reprinted multiple times? It was in Iconic Masters, that's where I'd seen it. But beyond that, Patchwork, no, there's Mark Cannon. Puppet Strings, now that... Yeah, it was only ever in that dual deck. Interesting. There's the ruby and the sapphire one. And we get onto the land in a moment. So things get interesting. That was in 2014 again. Commander Anthology Volume 2. Oh yeah, of course the Commander Anthology would have been those decks. Now thinking about it, of course that's why I'm getting confused, yeah. So it would have been only included in the anthology if it was from one of the decks, early Commander decks. So I get sometimes muddled up here between thinking about, you know, reprints of decks and set reprints. Static Orb. 7th edition, and then not again till Kaladesh. It was in those World Championship decks. Squeeze Toy. Now that... No, it only cropped up in Tempest, okay. Friction Splicer, that's not something I'm super familiar with. What's that? Uncommon. Choose flying, first strike, trample or shadow. Target creature. Turn, okay. Interesting. Okay, here we go. So some interesting non-basics here. Where do I start? Okay, let's just see what comes up first in terms of the cycles. So this wasn't specifically part of a cycle, but Ancient Tomb, you had 2 colourless manager mana pool, it does 2 damage to you. Caldera Lake, now that was part of a cycle. That was enemy coloured tap pain lands. So they came into play tapped. You can tap them for 1 colourless mana. If you want to tap them for the sort of 2 colours, the enemy colours, either in the enemy colours, then they will deal 1 damage to you. So the cycle of those was Salt Flats, Caldera Lake, Pine Barrens, Scabland and Sky Shroud Forest, and they were all enemy colour combinations. There was also a cycle of slow lands as well, and we'll see if we can find those ones. So there's there's one of them, Cinder Marsh. So they don't come into play tapped, so you can tap them for colourless mana once they come into play. But if you tap them for their coloured mana, so in this case there's a black or red one, and these are allied colours, they don't untap during your next untap phase. That's why they're referred to as slow lands. And the cycle of those would have been Thalakos Lowlands, Root Water Depths, Cinder Marsh, this one, Mog Hollows and Vec Townships. Now other things we've got in here, other non-basic lands that don't fall into those 2 cycles. We've got Ghost Town, so you had 1 colourless manager mana pool, 0, and then you can return it to your owner's hand. So it bounces back to your hand, but only during another player's turn. Maze of Shadows, so that was specifically to do with shadow creatures. So tap, add 1 colourless mana to your mana pool, so it did generate mana, but you could also tap it, alternatively tap it, and untap a target attacking creature with shadow. That creature neither deals nor receives combat damage this turn. I'm assuming that's only ever appeared in this set or the remastered one. Reflecting Pool's in here, so you add to your mana pool 1 mana of any type that any land you can control can produce, and that turned up in Shadowmoor. You can see it's on the pricey side, and it was in Conspiracy. Quite different artwork. Whoops. So we've got Stalking Stones. Add 1 mana colours to your mana pool again, but for cost of 6 it becomes a 3/3 artifact creature permanently. That was in, I had a real feeling it was in Mirrodin, that's where I think I'd seen it. It was in the Mystery Beast Booster Foil Edition. And then we've got Wasteland in here as well. So add 1 colourless mana to your mana pool, sacrifice Wasteland, destroy target non-basic land. Let's look at the price on this. So $40 in the original version. Looks like mainly cropped up in the World Championship decks. Obviously a very popular include at that time, but beyond that there's a Legacy Championship Special Edition there. And the player rewards as well, but yeah. And now I saved the best till last. Okay, I think I covered everything here that wasn't part of a cycle. The actual basic lands. So I do like the artwork in this set, particularly the planes. But yeah, these are nice to have in. I think some of these I may even have in foil. I'm not sure though. Maybe I've got this artwork but in a different set. I'm having trouble remembering. Actually, saying that, I don't think foils are even a thing in Tempest, so that's unlikely. I may be thinking of another set where they reuse this artwork. I think here it's not going to say where they've reused the artwork. I think this will just be every time there's been a mountain in any set, so I think that's not really going to show us a lot going in there, unfortunately. Yeah, I know you're thinking about it. Foils in Magic weren't obviously a thing until later, from what I remember. If anybody can remember what set they started doing them. I know they started shoving them first, I think, into the theme decks as an additional card. I think that's where they first emerged, and it wasn't until later they actually start putting them in booster packs. And I just can't remember what theme deck those foils first started appearing. So if anybody can remember, let me know. It's pretty classic artwork there. Now just going back up here quickly, because I didn't check, I wanted to just see. So Ancient Tomb. Okay, so a lot of special versions of this. So this cycle, where did they crop up, if anywhere? Yeah, Vintage Masters, no surprise there. And the Slow Lands, well, what do you reckon? Yeah, Vintage Masters. And that's it. So I think I'm going to draw a haul there. I think I've pretty much covered everything. So just to recap, themes, mechanics, flowstones, Lycids, slivers, spikes. There was buyback, which we did see a card with buyback on it, and shadow. There's a big set, 350 cards, 110 commons, 110 uncommons, 110 rares, 20 basic lands. As you saw, a number of different cycles, lots of really interesting artwork, lots of key cards that seem to have been reprinted numerous times, other cards which probably a lot of us would have liked to have had reprinted, not reprinted so many times, unfortunately, and then only in special product. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed making this. I've got this massive smile on my face at the moment. So once again, thanks for watching, and bye for now. So hello again. So not so much bonus material, just something I forgot to do. I'm going to tack it on the end because it closes off nicely, I think. And this is something I'll make sure is much more seamless going forward. I wanted to take a quick look at, in the terms of the Tempest set, the pricings of the set, in terms of, like, you know, what's the most expensive card in the set. So, which is Intuition, apparently, $197. So we've got basically Intuition. If we looked at the sort of top 10, you got Intuition, Earthcraft, Eladamri, Lord of Leaves, which is $121. When we come to see what's popular in EDH, it'd be interesting to see what the top 10 are there. Allurin, which checks in at 83. Humility, an Ancient Tomb. So that was the most expensive of the non-basic lands. It's around, what, $60. the Expedition version, that's actually cheaper in Zendikar. And then I wasn't surprised to see this. So you'll see a number of medallions crop up as being the more expensive cards in the set. There's a reflecting ball down there as well. But in terms of the top 10, yeah, we've got 2 of the medallions in the top 10. And so there, you know, again, you get differences with colours. So I always tend to find that the blue ones of a particular cycle often tend to be the more expensive, although that's not always the case. But you can see they're sort of hovering around $50. What's that one? Yeah. So just give you some idea. Of course, in the other view, if we were to do in the full view, and sometimes that's a little bit easier to see actually, and maybe going forward I'll do it this way, because then you can sort of work out where there's a threshold. Above which you will not pay for. So yeah, a number of these sort of are coalescing around the $40 mark. Yeah, actually quite a few getting to $30 now, and slowly down. There's Time Warp. So that gives you some idea of the price differences, or the higher priced cards in the set. The other one that I wanted to look at, and one thing I'm going to do quickly actually is let's just look at Aldami, and I should be able to jump into EDH Rec. I'm just curious as to whether the high price is because that card crops up a lot. It's only in it's only in 80 Commander decks. All elves going Forest Walk. Elves cannot be deterred. Okay, that's probably so. It's basically, and it's more to do with the fact that it will be in an elf deck where this would be legal. So yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So let me just have a look. If we come back in here, we can also do price by EDH Rec. Oops, not ranking. Sorry. EDH Rec ranking. So it's probably no surprises here that the most popular cards in terms of EDH, using EDH Rec as a ranking system, is Counterspell, then followed by Rampant Growth, Ancient Tomb, Dark Ritual, Harrow, Lotus Petal, Reflecting Pool, Reanimate, Propaganda, Altar of Dementia, as in the top 10. And then moving through beyond that, you've got things like Living Death, Goblin Bombardment, Wasteland, Scroll Rack, Ruby Medallion, Enchantment, and so on. And then yeah, a few more of these medallions. So just out of curiosity, I imagine this is going to be very high actually. So what do they reckon? Okay, yeah. 127,000 out of 297,000. So 43% of decks in the database have Counterspell in them. So yeah. And really, again, you know, no surprises as the choice of cards we're seeing here. Which is Altar of Dementia actually, because it's 12 bucks. It was in Modern Horizons as well. Okay, and Conspiracy. So deck count here. 5%. Okay. Good to know. Okay, so hopefully that's the sort of the icing on the cake, or the additional gravy to the original video. Like I said, when I come to start really properly rolling these out, because this is more of a test video, I'll just make sure everything's much more cleanly locked together. So once again, thanks for watching. Bye for now.